Hi, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell, and thanks for joining me for this mini distraction. My guest today was on the show a few weeks back talking about reinventing yourself at work, and she's back again today to talk about work, but more specifically, how to tell if you are in a toxic workplace. Liz Ryan, thanks again so much for joining us, Liz. What are the signs that you're working in a toxic workplace?
Well, you know, the first sign of a toxic workplace is if you feel impeded while you're trying to do your job. So you're trying to do your job, and you're running into roadblocks, and you're kind of saying, they hired me to do this stuff, so why is it so hard to do? And it could be bureaucratic processes, red tape. It could be approvals. It could be people just don't do what they're supposed to do. It's a breakdown in the actual mechanical system of work. Mm-hmm. That's the first sign. Because in a healthy workplace, obviously they're very concerned about the slipperiness of the work, right? Faster, better, all that. That's what the business world is supposedly based on. Mm-hmm. So if that isn't happening and the machinery is breaking down, then there's a human impetus behind that. Mm-hmm. There's a human breakdown. So that's kind of the first sign when you go to a job and you're like, wait a minute. They told me the system works like this and like that. It actually doesn't, though. Mm-hmm. There's another system where you have to go talk to the guy, and then you got to wait, and you got to go to your boss. And second sign is obviously if people are kind of fractious all the time, and they're kind of angry, and that's very common in some workplaces. You walk in and you're like, did everybody in here wake up on the wrong side? Well, they're unhappy. They don't like where they work. That's huge. Yeah. The third sign is that you try to talk to your boss, and you realize there's a force field around your boss. Like, they don't want to be interrupted. What? I'm trying to talk to you about how to do the work better, take care of our customers better. Why are you mad at me? Yeah. Just take care of it. Well, dude, I'm trying. That's why I asked you, is there a different procedure? So it's just sort of this illogical replacement of process with anger and emotion to shut people down. And then, of course, if your body doesn't like the job, you're going to know, because your body's going to talk to you, thank God. Right. You're going to get a backache, or you're going to get a stiff neck, or you're going to get a lot of colds, or it's going to be hard to wake up in the morning. And these are all the signs like something isn't working. The reason we ignore the signs, of course, is because money talks, and we say, I can't afford to think about it. We think that launching a stealth job search, an under-the-radar job search to get out of a toxic work environment is just so grueling, but it's actually not. You can invest literally 15 minutes a day, and if you're patient about it and you can keep the deep breathing, it's going to change the pain level of your current job just to have a foot and an eye toward the outside market. This stuff is not going to bother you as much because you're not so staked in it. So, the reason that so many people resist, change is hard, right? And so people resist the idea of looking outside their current workplace, even if they hate their job, and their whole family hates their job, because they think it's hard, and then they finally step into it, and they get the job, and they're like, wow, I should have done this years ago. What are some other tips you have for getting through the toxic workplace? Through the toxic workplace? Yeah. Well, a reaction to a toxic workplace is not a reaction, in my experience, is not a reaction to the horrible things people say and the horrible things they do, because you could see that in a movie and say, oh my God, those people are idiots, but it wouldn't affect you personally. The reason that it affects us is because we feel so emotionally invested in the place that it's a judgment on ourselves, by ourselves. What kind of a loser am I that I'm working with these idiots and trolls and toads? Right. And because we see our job as identity, and that's the piece that we need to talk about a lot more. It is a stage set, and you walk onto a stage set and you play a part. In large part, a part that was already defined for you, or that you perceive that way. Right. Now I'm going to be the HR manager. I used to say to my boss all the time, dude, if you want me to do this job, you got to get me a Screen Actors Guild card, man. Yeah. I am so on stage in this job, it's not even funny. You called me. You called me over the intercom. I was in the loading dock talking with the guys, and I ran up here and grabbed a jacket in my office to talk to the lady from the pension fund about our executive stock plan, and now I got a completely different voice, completely different script. You know what I mean? Right. And you're lucky that I can make that shift, yo. Right. And so it is a part, and if we buy into the part and now it defines me, I lost my job and now I'm driving for Lyft, so that reduces me to merely a Lyft driver, so I suck, so I have to feel terrible. No. Right. Don't buy into that fiction. You might be an actor, you might be a screenwriter. You might be, who knows, you might be a visionary whose talents are yet to completely define themselves, which is fine, because it can take into 60s, 70s, 80s in your life. Why would you limit yourself by saying, I'm in a car driving people around for money, therefore I'm diminished? No. No, don't buy that.
How do you not buy it? Because so many people...
It's it's intention, right?
Right.
You wake up and you say, okay, so you will buy it if you don't have a vision for yourself. I don't know what to do, and that's at the end of the story, and I drive for Lyft.
So you got to have the vision.
You got to have a vision. What if you got a journal, which is the first thing we recommend in the book, Reinvention Roadmap, and started writing? Don't know what to write. You just write, I don't know what to write. I like the Colorado Rockies, I like whatever. I hate the Yankees, whatever.
That's a good starting point.
That's a good start. And who the hell would put ketchup on a hot dog? Whatever you want to write, just write. And start tapping into that other place. And start tapping into it. And don't judge yourself and say, I'm under no pressure, but out of this journal, I'm going to develop a vision for my life. Why don't people do it? Because it's scary and it feels like work. If I don't have a vision, then I get to complain that the cable went out again. And if I do have a vision, then I feel some pressure to work toward the vision. That's right, sweetheart. That's exactly why you do it. Because the pressure is not pressure, it's a wind at your back.
And the next thing you know, you start actually falling in love with the vision.
Exactly. And when you fall in love with that vision, Lyft will not bother you. Waiting tables will not bother you.
Right.
Working as a caterer, bartender will not bother you. It's stealth. It's an archetype that we all know.
Right.
You're just waiting for that minute to bust out. I feel like that to a certain degree.
Sure.
And so, it's completely fine. And again, the people that get you deserve you and your presence and your genius. And the people that don't, God bless, you don't have time to talk anybody into caring about you more than they do.
It's what gets you've done it 5 times, it's what gets parents up in the middle of the night to feed the baby.
Exactly.
They've got a vision of it'll be worth it in the long run.
Exactly. And now it's not up in the middle of the night to feed them. Right. It's a text at 2 a.m. Are you coming home or are you staying out? Where are you? Do you need a ride?
Right.
And if you think about it, something bad happened, I think, when the Industrial Revolution came roaring in, and the message to people was, this is all you can be.
Right.
Take your place at this assembly line and be glad you have it.
Right.
Who created the archetype that employers are above employees? It makes no sense.
Right.
I don't feel like I'm above the plumber when I call him.
Right.
I'm like, thank you for
I'm waiting
calling.
For the doctor to come,
the
right?
The doctor.
Yeah.
And people say, well, because they have the money. No, that's completely BS because you pay the landlord money and you don't put yourself on a pedestal above the landlord. There's just a fiction that most of us have bought into that landlords and employers rule the roost.
Only if we let them.
Only if we let them. And people say, well, they're big and I'm small. No, what's big is the company. None of those people is big in the company.
Right.
They are tiny. They feel smaller than you because they are a tiny cog in a big machine and they're afraid of getting in trouble, for example, by hiring someone who's not sufficiently obedient and supplicant. And so if you dare to be that person and therefore you get rejected, rejoice. Because you deserve a bigger stage and a better place to work. And the vision piece of that is if you're willing to go on a job interview and be yourself and risk getting not hired, then you have faith in yourself that you deserve and will find something better. And that's a hard, obviously, piece of faith to get. It takes time.
Yeah, but I think, again, listening to you should be enough to give someone a little bit of hope, and even though hope is not a strategy, it's a starting point to develop a strategy.
If there weren't hope, no strategy would be possible. What would we do? What would we all do? We'd all go work at McDonald's. Exactly.
So start with that little bit of hope, and then start with writing down your vision. Start with journaling, and get Liz's book, and the next thing you know, you'll have a workplace you love, and you'll be off to the races.
And a career that supports you as a person, which is, weirdly, when I started writing about the workplace, like in 99, I was like, why aren't people writing about your career is secondary to who you are as a person? It's not the other way around. And people still say work comes first. It's like, what? What did you just say?
And when you're doing that, you're supporting all the other people in that workplace.
Exactly.
Because the good feeling is contagious.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
It's your own zone of health around you, and then it spreads.
Yeah.
And it's telling the truth.
Yeah.
And it's supporting people. And it's being willing to say just a tiny little thing. Like your manager says, can you have that in the next 10 minutes? You say, probably not 10 minutes, but I'll have it in 45 to an hour.
Yeah.
It's just that much room that I'm not a literal servant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a person with a job that you hired me to do that has a brain and has arranged priorities for the day, and you will be slotted in, Mr. Needy.
Yeah.
But it isn't snap your fingers. Yeah. Because when you reinforce people's fear, which is obviously what that kind of controlling management style is, then you don't help them.
No, you don't. And you reinforce unrealistic expectations, and the next thing you know, you're burning out.
The most amazing thing that happens that I hear from people every day is that they say, either I told the truth at work and jumped up to a higher level of confidence and altitude, or I quit, a toxic job, one of those two things. Mm-hmm. And they all say, it was magical. I stepped through this membrane, and then I saw that it was nothing. I saw it was nothing.
Yeah. It's like I looked around The Wizard of Oz and I discovered a little man.
Literally, that whole movie is about stepping through fear. Yeah. And so is every heroic movie we've ever seen with the hero's journey, but we don't apply it to our personal life like it's a daily thing.
Right, exactly.
And people say, you don't know my boss. And it's like, honey bunch, I know people so much worse than your boss, no offense. And I'm not saying that to make you feel weak or cowardly. I'm saying it to encourage you to take that step. You will see how the cowardly lion will crumble.
Yep.
When you dare to be yourself, because they will perceive the power in you in a way that they don't right now. Or maybe in a way that they do right now, which is why they're being so fearsome and fake and beating their chest.
As much as I don't want to, I have to say goodbye to you now.
Oh, goodness gracious. We can talk anytime you want.
We absolutely will. And but Liz Ryan, you are the best. You are phenomenal. You have such a message, and I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Thank you, and likewise.
Thank you so much.
Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for today. Isn't Liz Ryan great? I sure think so. Learn more from Liz on her website, humanworkplace.com. That's all one word, humanworkplace.com. And you can always reach out to us by calling 844-55-CONNECT. Again, that's 844-55-CONNECT, or by emailing us at connect@distractionpodcast.com. That's connect@distractionpodcast.com. Distraction is produced by Collisions, the podcast division of CRN International. Collisions, podcast for curious people. Our producer is the wonderful Sarah Gurton, and our audio engineers are the delightful Pat Keogh, the wonderful Greg Session, and the inimitable Scott Person.